The Empire's overconfidence. The Galactic Empire was the strongest force in the universe. For centuries, they had conquered planet after planet, leaving nothing but fear and destruction behind. No civilization had ever stopped them. Their technology was advanced, their fleet massive, and their soldiers ruthless. When the Empire decided to attack Earth, they didn't even see it as a real challenge. To them, Earth was just another weak planet in a long list of easy victories. On the Empire's flagship, Dominion, Commander Virex stood tall, staring out of the massive glass window at the blue planet below. His silver armor reflected the soft light of distant stars. He smiled, a cold, confident grin. "This will be over in an hour," he said to his officers. "These primitive creatures won't know what hit them." The officers around him chuckled. They had heard stories about Earth, a small planet with fragile humans, limited technology, and no real defense. The Empire's spies had reported that Earth's armies were scattered and outdated. The humans still fought with machines that used bullets and missiles, while the Empire wielded plasma cannons and gravity bombs. The idea of humans putting up a fight was laughable. "Commander," one officer said, "the fleet is in position. Shall we begin the descent?" Virex nodded. "Let's show them what true power looks like." The Empire's fleet moved into formation, their dark, metallic ships blocking out the sun. From Earth's surface, people looked up in horror as the sky turned black. News channels around the world showed the terrifying sight of alien ships descending from the heavens. Panic spread like wildfire, but while civilians were scared, Earth's military leaders were calm. They had been preparing for this day for years. Back on the Dominion, Virex watched the chaos on Earth through his screens. He saw people running, cars crashing, and cities falling into panic. It pleased him. Fear was the first step to submission. "They are already broken," he said with a smirk. "Soon, they will beg for mercy." But Virex didn't know the truth. Earth wasn't as weak as it seemed. While the Empire believed their spies had given them all the information, they had missed something very important. Earth had a secret, a powerful defense system hidden from the galaxy. The humans weren't just waiting to be conquered. They were waiting to fight back. As the Empire's ships moved closer, Virex grew more confident. He imagined marching through Earth's capital, raising the Empire's flag over the ruins of human civilization. He thought about the medals he would receive, the promotions, the glory. "Commander," another officer reported, "all systems are green. We are ready to deploy the ground troops." Virex waved his hand dismissively. "Hold them back. Let the humans see our ships first. Let them feel hopeless before we crush them." The officers laughed again. They enjoyed the idea of making humans suffer before the final attack. It was the Empire's way, not just to win, but to dominate, to make sure no one ever dared resist them again. But far below, deep beneath Earth's surface, a hidden command center buzzed with quiet activity. General Harris, the leader of Earth's defense forces, watched the alien ships on his own screens. His face was calm, his eyes sharp. He turned to his team and said, "Let them come closer." Earth's leaders had known about the Empire for years. They had watched from a distance as the Empire destroyed other planets. But instead of panicking, Earth united. They pooled their resources, shared their technology, and built something the Empire could never expect: Project Skyfire. This was Earth's secret weapon, a powerful system of orbital satellites armed with advanced energy weapons, capable of destroying entire fleets. Back on the Dominion, Virex was too busy celebrating his future victory to notice anything strange. His overconfidence blinded him. He didn't see the slight shifts in Earth's satellite patterns, the hidden energy buildups, or the silent coordination between Earth's military forces. "Commander," an officer said, "should we disable their communication systems?" Virex shook his head. "No need. They can scream all they want. No one is coming to save them." But Virex was wrong. Earth didn't need saving. They were about to show the Empire that humanity was not weak, and they were not afraid. As the alien fleet descended, the humans waited patiently, their fingers hovering over the activation switches of Project Sci-Fi. The Empire's overconfidence would be their downfall, and in just a few moments, they would learn that Earth was not just another easy target. They were in for the biggest shock of their lives. Earth's hidden power. The Empire's fleet drifted closer to Earth, their ships cutting through the atmosphere like silent predators. Commander Virex watched with growing satisfaction as the planet's surface became clearer beneath them. The cities, oceans, and forests looked peaceful, almost too peaceful. But Virex didn't question it. He believed the humans had already accepted defeat. "Prepare the plasma cannons," Virex ordered, his voice full of pride. "We'll give them a little show before we send in the ground troops." The officers obeyed without hesitation, their fingers dancing over holographic controls. The fleet's weapons powered up, glowing with deadly energy. But as they prepared to strike, something unexpected happened. A faint hum filled the command deck of the Dominion. At first, it was barely noticeable, like the distant buzz of static. But within seconds, it grew louder, vibrating through the metal walls of the ship. The officers exchanged confused glances. Virex frowned. "What is that noise?" he barked. Before anyone could answer, the ship's lights flickered. The holographic displays glitched, showing strange patterns and symbols the Empire's technology couldn't recognize. Panic began to creep into the officers' eyes. "Commander, we're experiencing interference," one officer reported, frantically tapping at his controls. "Something is jamming our systems." "That's impossible," Virex snapped. "No one has technology advanced enough to disrupt our fleet." But Virex was wrong. Deep in Earth's orbit, Project Sci-Fi had come online. The hidden satellites, invisible to the Empire's scans, were now fully operational. These weren't ordinary satellites. They were equipped with cutting-edge energy weapons and advanced electronic warfare systems designed to cripple enemy technology. General Harris, watching from the hidden command center on Earth, gave a small nod. "Begin Phase 1, he ordered. In an instant, beams of concentrated energy shot from Earth's orbit, slicing through the void of space with deadly precision. The first blast struck one of the Empire's smaller cruisers, cutting it in half like a knife through butter. The explosion lit up the sky, sending debris raining down into the atmosphere. On the Dominion, alarms blared. The officers stared in horror as the cruiser's destruction appeared on their glitching screens. "Commander, we're under attack," an officer shouted. Virex's confidence shattered in an instant. "By who?" he roared. "There's no one else out here." But the answer was clear. The humans were fighting back. More beams of energy shot through space, targeting the Empire's fleet. Ships exploded one after another, their powerful shields useless against the advanced weapons of Project Sci-Fi. The Empire's once mighty fleet was now a collection of burning wreckage. "Shut down the interference." Virex screamed, but it was too late. The Empire's systems were overwhelmed. Their communication channels were jammed, their targeting systems offline. The fleet was blind and helpless. On Earth, General Harris watched the destruction with a calm, steady gaze. "They thought we were weak," he said quietly. "Let's show them how wrong they were." The Empire's ships tried to regroup, but the attacks were relentless. The hidden satellites moved like predators, striking with perfect accuracy. Every time the Empire tried to fire back, their weapons malfunctioned. Their overconfidence had blinded them to the true strength of humanity. Virex's face twisted with rage and disbelief. "This isn't possible," he muttered. "They're just humans." But Earth was more than just a planet of humans. It was a world united by the will to survive, a species that refused to bow to any empire. And as the Empire's fleet burned in the sky, one thing became clear: Earth was not an easy target. They were a force to be reckoned with. The battle was far from over, but the Empire had already lost the most important fight: the belief that they were unbeatable. The first strike. The Empire's fleet was in chaos. Smoke and fire filled the skies above Earth as more ships were torn apart by invisible forces. Commander Virex staggered across the bridge of the Dominion, his confidence shattered. The once mighty fleet he had led with pride was now crumbling before his eyes. "Report," Virex bellowed, his voice laced with desperation. An officer, his face pale and drenched in sweat, struggled to respond. "We're losing ships at an unprecedented rate, Commander. Our systems are still jammed, and we can't identify the source of the attacks." Virex slammed his fist against the control panel. "It's the humans," he snarled. "They're hiding something. Find it." But finding Earth's secret weapon was impossible. Project Skyfire operated from stealth satellites hidden deep in Earth's orbit, cloaked from the Empire's sensors. These satellites were equipped with advanced eye-targeting systems that anticipated enemy maneuvers and struck with deadly precision. The Empire had never faced anything like it. On Earth, in the underground command center, General Harris watched the battle unfold with a calm, steady gaze. The room buzzed with quiet confidence. Earth's forces knew they had the upper hand, but they also knew the fight wasn't over yet. "Target the flagship," Harris ordered, his voice steady. "Let's send them a message." High above, one of the Skyfire satellites adjusted its trajectory, locking onto the Dominion. The AI calculated the perfect angle, the exact moment to strike. In a flash, a beam of pure energy shot from the satellite, slicing through the void of space and slamming into the Empire's flagship. The Dominion shuddered violently as the beam tore through its outer hull, breaching multiple decks and sending explosions rippling through the ship. Crew members screamed as fires erupted, and the once pristine command deck was thrown into chaos. Virex was thrown to the floor, his ears ringing from the blast. He struggled to his feet, coughing through the thick smoke that now filled the bridge. "Damage report," he shouted, but the communications officer was slumped over his console, unresponsive. Another officer stumbled over, blood trickling from a cut above his eye. "Commander, our shields are failing, and we've lost propulsion. We're dead in the water." For the first time in his life, Virex felt true fear. The invincible Empire was being dismantled piece by piece, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "Initiate emergency retreat protocols," he ordered, his voice trembling. But the officer shook his head. "We can't, sir. The jamming signal is still active. We can't even send a distress call." On Earth, General Harris watched the flagship struggle with a quiet sense of satisfaction. "They're trying to retreat," one of his officers noted. Harris nodded. "Don't let them. They need to understand that there's no escape." Another wave of energy beams shot from the Skyfire satellites, targeting the remaining ships in the Empire's fleet. One by one, the massive warships exploded, their debris falling like burning rain into Earth's atmosphere. On the Dominion, Virex watched helplessly as his fleet was annihilated. The pride and arrogance he had once felt were gone, replaced by a gnawing sense of doom. He had underestimated humanity, and now he was paying the price. "Commander," an officer whispered, his voice barely audible over the sounds of destruction. "What do we do?" Virex stared at the burning wreckage of his fleet on the view screen, his mind racing. He had led countless conquests, crushed entire civilizations, but nothing had prepared him for this. Earth wasn't just fighting back, they were winning. "We survive," Virex finally muttered, though even he didn't believe his own words. The Empire had never known defeat, but today, defeat had found them. Back on Earth, General Harris turned to his team, his expression resolute. "We're not done yet," he said. "Make sure none of them leave this system. The Empire needs to learn. Earth is not to be underestimated." The battle was far from over, but the tide had turned. The first strike had crippled the Empire's fleet, and Earth was ready to finish what they had started. The Empire's desperation. The once dominant Empire was now drowning in chaos. The Dominion, their flagship, drifted helplessly in Earth's orbit, its sleek armor scared and torn. Fires raged across its decks, and the air was thick with smoke and fear. Commander Virex clutched the edge of a shattered console, his mind racing for solutions that didn't exist. "Status report," he barked, though his voice had lost the strength it once carried. An officer, blood streaking his face, coughed violently before responding. "Our propulsion is offline, shields are down, and weapon systems are inoperative." "The fleet," he hesitated, his eyes darkening. "The fleet is gone, Commander." Virex's stomach twisted. He had never heard those words before, not in all his years of conquering. The Empire's fleet was supposed to be unstoppable, but Earth had reduced it to floating wreckage in mere minutes. "Re-establish communications," Virex growled, his desperation leaking through his words. "Contact the High Command. Anyone." "We can't," another officer whispered. "Their jamming field is still active. We're completely cut off." Virex's heart pounded in his chest. This couldn't be happening. The humans were supposed to be weak, fragile beings with primitive technology. How had they done this? How had they turned the tide so quickly? Meanwhile, deep within Earth's underground command center, General Harris watched the Empire's struggle unfold on his screens. The room buzzed with quiet determination. They had crippled the Empire's fleet, but Harris knew better than to celebrate too soon. "They're desperate," one of his officers noted, studying the enemy's erratic movements. "Desperate enemies are dangerous." Harris nodded. "Desperation makes them unpredictable. Stay sharp." Back on the Dominion, Virex paced the ruined bridge, his mind a whirlwind of anger and fear. He needed a plan, any plan. Then, a dark thought crept into his mind. If he couldn't defeat Earth from orbit, maybe he could destroy it from within. "Prepare the drop pods," Virex ordered, his eyes narrowing. "We'll send ground troops. Let's see how the humans handle face-to-face combat." The officers hesitated. "Commander, without air support, our troops will be vulnerable." "The humans. The humans caught us off guard in space," Virex snapped. "But on the ground, they'll see the true power of the Empire." Reluctantly, the officers obeyed. The drop pods, small, heavily armored vessels designed to pierce planetary defenses, were launched from the damaged fleet. They streaked toward Earth like falling stars, carrying the Empire's elite soldiers. On Earth, alarms blared as military forces scrambled to respond. General Harris watched the incoming pods with a calm, calculating gaze. "They're sending troops," an officer reported. "Shall we intercept?" Harris shook his head. "Let them land. They think they're bringing the fight to us. They'll soon realize they've walked into a trap." The drop pods crashed into Earth's surface, smashing through buildings and forests alike. Hatches exploded open, and the Empire's soldiers poured out, their armor gleaming, weapons at the ready. They expected chaos, panicked humans running for their lives. Instead, they found silence. The soldiers advanced cautiously, their eyes scanning the empty streets and quiet fields. It felt wrong. Too easy. Then the first explosion hit. Earth's forces, hidden in the shadows, launched a coordinated counterattack. Snipers took out alien commanders with pinpoint accuracy, while hidden explosives tore through the ranks of the Empire's soldiers. The invaders had no time to regroup. Every step forward was met with deadly resistance. On the Dominion, Virex's hopes crumbled as reports of heavy casualties flooded in. The ground troops were being decimated just as quickly as the fleet had been. "It's impossible," Virex muttered, staring at the red markers that filled his tactical display. They're just humans." But Earth had proven that they were more than just humans. They were fighters, resilient, united, and unbreakable. As the Empire's forces were pushed back on all fronts, General Harris delivered the final order. "No mercy," he said. "Make sure none of them get off this planet." The Empire's desperation had led them into a trap they couldn't escape. And now, they were facing the full fury of a planet that refused to be conquered. Total annihilation. The Empire's last hopes were slipping away, like sand through Virex's trembling fingers. On the Dominion, the bridge was a scene of devastation. Flickering lights, shattered consoles, and the stench of burned circuits mingling with fear. The once proud commander stared blankly at the chaos unfolding on his screens. Every transmission from the ground told the same story: defeat. "Commander," an officer whispered, his voice hollow, "our ground forces are gone." Virex gritted his teeth, his mind refusing to accept the truth. This couldn't be happening. The Empire had crushed countless civilizations, reducing entire planets to ashes. But Earth was different. They weren't just resisting, they were winning. On Earth's surface, the last of the Empire's ground troops were being hunted down with ruthless precision. Human soldiers, equipped with advanced tactics and guerrilla warfare, dismantled the once feared alien invaders. Cities that had braced for destruction were now battlegrounds where humanity fought with unmatched ferocity. In the underground command center, General Harris watched the final stages of the battle with an unflinching gaze. "The last of their forces are cornered," an officer reported. "We're ready to move in." Harris nodded. "Do it. End this." Above, the remnants of the Empire's fleet floated like wounded beasts. Fires raged across the Dominion's hull, and smaller ships drifted aimlessly, powerless and broken. But Earth was not done. The humans knew that leaving even a fragment of the Empire's fleet could spell future danger. "Activate Phase 3 of Project Skyfire," Harris commanded. The hidden satellites, still invisible to the Empire's sensors, shifted their focus. Their energy weapons, now fully charged, targeted the remaining ships with cold precision. One by one, the beams fired, cutting through the blackness of space like spears of light. The first to fall was the Vortex, a cruiser that had once led invasions across 3 star systems. It disintegrated in seconds, its explosion lighting up the sky. The Dominion was next. The flagship that symbolized the Empire's dominance groaned under the assault, its hull cracking, its core systems failing. On the bridge of the Dominion, Virex felt the ship shudder violently beneath his feet. "Commander, we need to abandon ship," an officer cried, panic flooding his voice. But Virex didn't move. His eyes were glued to the view screen, watching as his once mighty fleet was reduced to floating debris. The pride that had carried him through countless victories was now his anchor, dragging him down into the abyss of failure. "This can't be," he whispered. "We are the Empire." But the universe no longer feared the Empire. Earth had shattered that illusion. The final beam from Project Skyfire struck the Dominion's core. For a brief moment, everything was silent. Then, a massive explosion ripped through the ship, tearing it apart from the inside. The shockwave rippled through space, scattering the last remnants of the Empire's fleet. On Earth, people watched from their cities, their eyes wide with awe and disbelief. The sky, once filled with the terrifying sight of alien ships, now sparkled with the remnants of humanity's victory. The threat was gone. The Empire had been obliterated. In the underground command center, General Harris stood in silence. The battle was over, but he knew this victory would echo across the galaxy. "Send the message," he finally said. A communications officer nodded and began broadcasting Earth's transmission across the stars. "To any who would threaten Earth, we are not weak. We are not afraid. Come for us, and you will meet the same fate as the Empire." The message traveled through space, reaching distant worlds and alien empires. The name Earth, once unknown and underestimated, now carried a new weight, a symbol of defiance, strength, and survival. Back on Earth's surface, as the fires of battle died down, people emerged from shelters and bunkers. They looked to the sky, knowing they had faced the impossible and won. The Empire had come to conquer, but Earth had shown them the price of underestimating humanity. Commander Virex's legacy would not be one of triumph, but of a crushing defeat, a lesson to all who dared think Earth was just another weak planet to conquer. And so, with the Empire's fleet turned to dust, Earth stood victorious. But this was more than just a battle won. It was a statement to the galaxy. Humanity would never bow. Humanity would rise. The age of fear was over. The age of Earth had begun. The message to the galaxy. The silence after the battle was louder than any explosion. Space, once filled with the roar of the Empire's mighty fleet, now held only the drifting remains of their defeat. Earth had done the impossible. They hadn't just survived, they had won. But victory wasn't enough. Earth had a message to send. In the underground command center, General Harris stood before a massive holographic display, the faces of Earth's leaders flickering across the screen. The tension in the room had shifted from fear to a cold, focused determination. This was their moment to speak to the stars. "The galaxy needs to know," Harris said, his voice steady. "We're not prey. We're not a weak planet waiting to be conquered. We're a force to be reckoned with." He turned to his communications officer. "Is the signal ready?" "Yes, sir," the officer replied. "We're broadcasting on all known frequencies, and a few unknown ones." Harris gave a small nod. "Good. Let's make sure they hear us." Across Earth, massive transmitters powered up, sending a single, unified message into the depths of space. The words were simple but powerful, carrying the weight of Earth's defiance and victory. "To any who would threaten Earth, we are not weak. We are not afraid. Come for us, and you will face the same fate as the Empire." The message raced through the stars, bouncing off satellites, wormholes, and communication relays. It reached distant planets and unknown civilizations. On worlds light years away, alien species paused, their eyes widening as they listened to the bold declaration from a planet they had once dismissed as insignificant. On the shattered remnants of a distant outpost, a small group of traders picked up the signal. They had seen the Empire's rise and assumed no one could ever challenge them. But now, they heard Earth's message and knew the galaxy had changed. In the throne room of a distant alien monarchy, a ruler's grip tightened on their scepter as Earth's words echoed through the halls. The Empire had fallen, and a new power had risen in its place, a power that would not bow to any force in the universe. Even on worlds that had never heard of Earth, the message spread like wildfire. Stories of humanity's victory grew with each telling, turning into legends. The name Earth became a symbol of resistance, strength, and the unyielding spirit of a species that refused to be conquered. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to normal. The skies were clear, the fires extinguished, but the scars of battle remained. People rebuilt their cities and homes, but they also remembered the day they stood against the mightiest force in the galaxy, and won. General Harris watched the skies from his office window, knowing the message they had sent would ripple across the universe. But he also knew something else. This victory would draw attention. "They'll come," an aide said quietly, stepping beside him. "Others will try to test us." Harris nodded. "Let them come. We'll be ready." In the far reaches of the galaxy, in dark corners where empires plotted and schemed, Earth's message continued to echo. Some saw it as a challenge, others as a warning. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Humanity had claimed its place among the stars. They weren't just survivors. They were warriors, and their story was just beginning. A new legend begins. The galaxy had been forever changed. Earth's message traveled far beyond the ruins of the Empire's defeat, leaving whispers of defiance in its wake. Across distant worlds and ancient star systems, civilizations spoke the name of a planet that had stood against the unstoppable and won. But for Earth, this was not the end. It was only the beginning. In the heart of Earth's newly fortified capital, General Harris stood before a gathering of leaders, military officials, and scientists. The scars of the battle were still visible in the city's skyline, but the people's spirits were stronger than ever. "We've sent our message," Harris began, his voice steady and clear. "But messages alone won't protect us. The galaxy has seen our strength, And while some will fear us, others will see us as a challenge." He paused, letting his words sink in. "We must be ready for what comes next." A murmur spread through the crowd. Earth's victory had been overwhelming, but everyone knew the truth. This was only the first battle in a much larger war. The fall of the Empire had created a vacuum, and power-hungry forces across the stars would soon seek to fill it. Earth's scientists, working in secret laboratories, began to reverse engineer the remnants of the Empire's technology. What was once alien and incomprehensible became tools for Earth's defense and exploration. New ships were built, sleek, powerful, and faster than anything humanity had ever dreamed of. In orbit, Project Skyfire was expanded. More satellites were launched, their technology refined and upgraded. Earth would never be caught off guard again. But defense was only part of the plan. "We can't just wait for the next threat," Harris said in a private meeting with Earth's top strategists. "We need to take control of our future. It's time we reached out into the stars, on our terms." And so, Earth's first interstellar fleet was born. Unlike the ships of old, designed for defense and exploration, these new vessels were built with a singular purpose: to ensure that humanity's place in the galaxy was secure. The fleet was a symbol, not of conquest, but of unyielding vigilance. As the first ships prepared for launch, people across the planet watched with a mix of awe and pride. Humanity, once confined to its small blue world, was now a rising power among the stars. But the galaxy was watching too. On distant planets, leaders of alien civilizations gathered in secret. Some sought alliances, fearing Earth's newfound strength. Others plotted revenge, unable to accept the humiliation of the Empire's fall. Rumors spread of shadowy factions, ancient empires stirring from their slumber, and unknown threats lurking in the dark corners of the universe. Back on Earth, General Harris stood at the edge of the launch platform, watching the first interstellar ship, the ESS Resolve, ignite its engines. The ship rose into the sky, a blazing beacon of humanity's determination. "This is just the start," Harris murmured to himself. And he was right. Earth's fight for survival had forged a new era. An era where humanity was no longer a silent observer in the galaxy's story. They were now a key player, their actions echoing across the stars. But with great power came great responsibility. Earth had won its first battle, but the galaxy was vast, filled with mysteries and dangers beyond imagination. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but humanity had proven one thing beyond all doubt: they would never back down. And so, as Earth's fleet sailed into the unknown, a new legend began. The legend of a small, resilient planet that defied the odds and carved its place among the stars.